Okay, hello, welcome friends, back to my channel. Today we're doing a get ready with me. Sorry, my candle's just burning aggressively in the background, but we're gonna roll with it. Talking about, get ready with me, talking about my low buy in 2021. I failed to, I haven't posted, I had intentions of posting some type of wrap up video or final check-in type thing, and I still might do that, but I was I feel like I have a lot to say. Let's just do a get ready with me that can kind of fill that void, fill that purpose. That's not a formal, I don't know, sit down video of me just talking. Let's add some makeup into it. I feel like in order to have a cohesive train of thought, I need to, I might not speak about every individual product that I'm using, so everything that I use will be listed in the description box below if I don't mention it. Even though I've been bad about writing that down, I'm gonna do it 100% today, okay? So roast me if I don't do that. Okay, so low buy, well, what do I have to say about it? So if you didn't watch my videos, or you weren't with me, or you're not interested in low buy content or anything like that, just a recap. Basically my rules for my low buy in 2021 were that it was a budget, a budget essentially was my way of doing a low buy, and I essentially had $60 to spend on things that weren't replacements a month, and I could roll it over if I had leftovers. I decided that I could spend more in advance if I really wanted to, and then not buy anything while I was paying that off essentially. I'll get into that later, but that ended up being a detriment to myself, which I don't think is entirely surprising. And I could, I kind of alluded to, and I could buy replacements of things if I was totally kind of out in that category type of deal. And I had successes and failures for sure. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year in 2021, I would have been ideally, or the way I kind of, envisioned it going, I wanted to follow my budget super strictly and, really follow the rules, really go deep into it and have a really great check-in throughout the year, buy one or two items that fit into my budget every month, and then at the end I could come back and have this big final check-in and be look at how I followed the rules so greatly, so perfectly, and be really introspective and kind of have this Hannah Louise Poston-esque insight into how my brain changed and how I totally changed my shopping habits and all this stuff. And that's not what happened at all. But, and I initially want to be oh, I had I failed, I didn't do it the way that I wanted to and all this stuff, but I think I still have some insights and realizations, and I did a lot of self-reflecting over the year, and I think even if it wasn't a perfect success, that I can still glean value from it, and I can still, I still have valuable thoughts and ways that I can reflect on shopping and how I can buy makeup and consume things and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it was still valuable that I had times where I wasn't 100% perfect, because at the end of the day, like, that's never gonna happen, and I'm definitely not Hannah Louise Poston, and that's not what I was necessarily trying to be, because I think because that's not realistic, right? And I was going to recap the year, basically. I was going really strong from like January through the end of May, I believe. I was actually pretty good. I didn't have anything major that I don't want to say failed, but I didn't really like break my self-made budget or rules in any major way. I was feeling really good about it. And you know what, even basically in May, what happened was that Terra Moons had like a sale, and I just, for whatever reason, I think because I had been like not buying stuff and obviously taking less things in, I kind of was like, felt excited about this prospect of like making a Terra Moons order. And you know when you just are like, this is what I really want to buy super badly right in this moment. So I made, it was pretty big. It was like $100-something. So I basically had to like pay off my budget. The way the rules I had set up were like I couldn't buy anything new for like 3 months. And at the time I was like, easy peasy, like I can do that. Look at how like I've been doing so well, basically. So that was like, no, I didn't break the rules, but that was like an indication of like, probably shouldn't have done that. If I was like, I knew it was going to be difficult realistically to like fully not buy anything for 3 months, but I had decided like that's what I wanted to do. And I actually think I ended up doing that like relatively decently. I think I bought maybe a couple things here and there. I think I still might make a video talking about like every single thing that I bought with my budget in 2021. I don't know if that would be interesting to anyone. Let me know if that's something that you'd like to see. But yeah, so that was kind of my first like real slip, I want to say, you know, like my first not super strictly following the rules, bending them, some may say a little bit. And then I had like already kind of, I didn't like announce it, but in my mind I'd already pre-decided that like July was my birthday month, which is kind of an odd thing for me because if you know me, like my birthday isn't really something that I'm super like into, in the sense like I don't really go typically all out for it. In a normal year, I'm not like I can buy whatever I feel like on my birthday, you know, like maybe I'll buy like one thing for myself, but I'm not like it's my birthday month, woo type of person. But it kind of like unofficially decided in my head that like I was gonna let myself like have a little exception in July, not necessarily like buy whatever I want, but if I wanted to like buy something extra for myself, I could. And then I knew I was gonna do this, but I fucking took it and ran with it. And I was like, July was a little bit of like a bender, if you will, in a way. I just kind of like essentially bought whatever my little heart desired. And I actually, I mean, I did buy things that I still use and love. So that at least in a way is good, because I didn't buy like crazy stuff just for the sake of buying it. Am I filming? Yes. I didn't buy crazy stuff just for the sake of buying it. I did buy things that I actually wanted and still use to this day. So at least, you know, small victories. And I guess too, I will say, you also know, if you follow my channel at all, that I made like a few quote-unquote exceptions as well for certain collections or palettes or things that like were releasing that didn't necessarily fit into my low buy, or that I hadn't anticipated and couldn't really fit into my budget of $60, which for makeup in general is kind of low just because makeup costs like a lot of money. Makeup's not necessarily always cheap. Speaking of taking a little break, or a little intermission just to talk about something, I received a very generous gift over the holidays from my dad and his wife of the Natasha Denona Gold Palette. I think it's still available, or it was still available in Canada at the time, more than it was in the States. So I guess they ended up, I was like, if you feel so inclined, this would be a really amazing gift if you can find it. I was like, if you can find it. And apparently they found it. I am not going to do a dedicated video on it or anything just because it's like discontinued and all that kind of stuff. So I thought I would just use it in this Get Ready With Me today so I can still use it on camera and stuff, but hopefully I don't give anyone too much FOMO. This is only the second Natasha Denona palette that I've ever used. So I'm so overjoyed, I can't even begin to tell you. So I'm first going to start, I don't know if I'm going to tell you every single shade, but I'm going to start with the shade Dijon here because, obviously I have to use the mustard. Or, actually I take it back. I'm going to actually use this shade Sandstone first, and then I'm going to go in with Dijon. Yeah. Okay. So, so I was basically saying that like throughout the year I made certain exceptions for certain things where basically I like bought them and didn't count it toward my budget, which I knew also that I was going to do just in anticipation of basically things that were like limited edition or anything, anything like that, because I wasn't trying to like, that wasn't the point of my low buy, was to like really super restrict myself. Like in my mind I was like, if I have a few exceptions, that's fine. And I still think like I don't regret anything that I bought, especially like limited edition stuff, but it definitely, because even in the months where I wasn't buying things, I was sometimes still bringing in new things because of that, like those exceptions. So it wasn't like I was actually having nothing new being brought in, you know what I mean? So there was also that element of it as well, where it wasn't like a super strict in the end, like budget, low buy type of thing. And then my next foray into darkness, my next big slip up was at the end of the year of November and December. I think you can guess probably why. Black Friday happened and I actually went in with a really good plan. I also had been like, if there's something on sale that you really want and you're like realistically smart about it, LOL, then I was gonna let myself get it within reason. Like I had initially said like BH, have been really interested in trying them for a long time. So I said if BH has a really good sale, that's something. What was the other thing? There was something else. Cleona. I was like, if Cleona was doing a restock on Black Friday, and I knew that that's what I wanted to put money towards, so I was like, those are like the two things that I know I really want to buy, and like that's what I'm going to allow myself to purchase during Black Friday, which I did. I had like every intention of doing that. Now I'm going in with Dijon now in my crease. I had every intention of doing that and it didn't necessarily work out that way. I don't know. and even now reflecting on it, I don't really know what happened to me. Like, what was the catalyst for the spending storm that I had in November and December? It, throughout the year, very much seemed like as soon as I went into the mode of you can buy something, you can spend, like taking like restrictions off myself, I kind of just like took it and ran with it. Because after I kind of like eased up in my mind mentally a little bit, I bought some stuff, and I still might post, I honestly might just post a haul and just share it with you all because I have it and I'm enjoying it, you know, like let's share in it together. Like, why not, right? But I bought a good amount of stuff. I think the video is going up today. I bought a lot from BH because they were having like major sales, and I couldn't resist it this year for some reason. Like, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but like this, I feel like there were so many sales. I was getting so many emails every day, like, look at all this makeup that I like want that's now on sale. I don't know why I found it really difficult to resist this year specifically. But yeah, so I bought a good amount of stuff from BH because they were actually had like really quite good sales. But I mean, maybe I'll just go into it in the haul because I'm not going to sit here and just list off everything that I ended up buying right now. But long story short, I didn't like go crazy, but I bought more than I anticipated and that I had planned for, which is fine actually, because I did end up getting a job. So at least, you know, we have some income now. So it's like less, I feel like less mental guilt over buying things now, which could be a problem anyway, but at least like financially I have a little bit more backing than not having income and buying a lot of makeup. I will say that there is something to be said that is true about the fact that Natasha Denona like mattes show up deeper on the eyes than in the pan. And now I'm going to take the shade Log, which is this brown here, and just use that to deepen up my crease. We're not doing anything too crazy today, because I'm already having problems focusing here. Okay, what was I saying? Am I filming still? Yes. So that's basically the evolution of my low buy year. And, you know, kind of my successes and failures, if you want to look at it in that sense, which I'm trying actually not to. But, I mean, I will say that I think realistically, if I hadn't set any rules and restrictions and I wasn't, like, keeping track of, like, the things that I was buying and the money that I was spending, which 2020 looked like for me, a lot of just impulse purchases and trying, like, not keeping track of how much money I was spending and stuff like that. I think if I hadn't been keeping track, a lot of my months would have looked like July, November, and December. And I wouldn't have had the, like, things stopping me from just, like, buying and buying and buying. Because especially at the end of the year, I was really using shopping and, like, online shopping as a way to, like, just deal with emotions and stuff like that. Not even that I was, like, feeling depressed or anything like that. Or anxious, like, mentally. My mental health has been good, but, like, the world is a lot right now. I don't have to explain that, I'm sure, to anyone watching this. And it was just, like, a way to, like, kind of cope with, like, everything that's going on in the world, I think. And, you know, and it really feels like everything is dust, so I'm not gonna, like, spend a lot of time, like, beating myself up for that. I'm giving myself a little bit of grace. So yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, I think a lot of, like, 2020 was not a great year for me in terms of making smart purchases of makeup, because I was impulse buying a lot of things on sale, and realistically things that weren't going to generate like views on my YouTube channel. Not that I really am, I'm taking that into account, but I'm not really like fully basing it off of it, because like ultimately I'm not making money from this anyway. Like, I still want to buy makeup that I want and want to use regardless of online stuff, truly. But if I can, you know, generate a video that's helpful or relevant, or, you know, sharing excitement with anyone, then like that is also valuable in a certain way to me. But yeah, my 2020 purchases weren't really smart ones, and are actually things that I don't end up like, or didn't end up really like, they weren't like hardcore favorites in my collection. Whereas the purchases that I made this past year in 2021, I didn't really make any stupid purchases, in the sense that like I pretty much love everything that I bought this year across the board, like fully. They're like new total favorites in my collection, which is great. And that at least is valuable to me. Okay, so I'm quickly going to do a half cut crease, hop off camera, and then I'll be right back to do that, to come back and talk more. Okay, so I'm back. I've done the deed. Now I'm going to take some NYX glitter primer. And on my lids, I'm going to use the two shades that I'm most excited by, which are Brass and Lime Chrome. So I'm going to put Brass in the center and Lime Chrome in the front part of my lid, just in case you were wondering what I was doing. So basically, I guess let's break this down into, I don't know what is going on outside. So I think the things that I learned the most, because I think I actually did learn a lot, was that number one, my number one weakness in terms of not being able to like resist buying stuff is, or being, I guess, more tempted, because I guess I can still resist, but being tempted by buying stuff, is limited edition things. If you make something limited edition, I immediately want it. Like, scarcity marketing, I've said before, is like number one most effective way to get me to buy something, because I kind of like, I have this fear of missing out on whatever it is, and the idea that like I'll never be able to get it again is like, I mean, what limited edition like releases are literally for, to like get you to buy stuff, and collabs. Particularly limited edition collabs really get me in a major way. Or also collabs in general, but limited edition things and collabs are like high on the top of my list of things that are tempting to me, which I don't think is bad. If I know that I'm going to get use out of something, and I know that it's going to make me happy to have it, I've ultimately kind of realized that like it's okay if I buy it within reason, like, right? Like, I'm not buying every single new release, but if like that new collab collection or new like limited edition collection is something that I know I'll use and something that I really do think will bring joy to my life, then I'm just gonna fucking buy it, you know? I'm just gonna like kind of bite the bullet and choose to spend my money there, maybe leaning back a little bit in other areas. I also think though that I have improved a ton on impulse purchases and sale impulse purchases. Just like how I talked about, I really like got sucked in by sales on Black Friday. That was like me every other sale that went on throughout the year in 2020. Sales really get me, and I really had the like mantra going in my mind in 2021 of like, it's not a good deal if you weren't gonna spend that money anyway, kind of thing, which did help me, and I really kind of curbed that instinct in a lot of ways. Black Friday was kind of its own new like demon, but I'm really proud of how much I like have grown in that aspect, and I really have cut down also on impulse purchases a lot, because in 2020 most of my purchases were impulse purchases. And sorry, I realize now that I might just be totally covering my face with this mirror. Hopefully I wasn't. But yeah, in 2020 most of my purchases were impulse purchases, and this past year in 2021 I, with the exceptions of a few things, I really thought everything that I bought out. I was intentional about what I was buying, and I thought about it a lot before and kind of planned for it, and I ended up being happy with like 99% of everything that I bought this year, and I think that that's something that I'm really going to value and take with me going forward. I also have I really like was introspective in the sense of like, I thought about what, like when I had the impulse to buy something, I was like, why? Like sometimes, I don't know, maybe this is just a me thing, but I would get just like an urge to like, I just wanted to shop, and I realized that a lot of that was connected to like if I was feeling stressed or upset or sad or depressed or anything like that, or if overwhelmed by the world, then like instead of like eating a lot or drinking, not like in excess, but like having a drink or something, I would then turn to like online shopping, which I think is a pretty good revelation to have, or like not revelation but insight, because that allowed me then to like really be like, no, just go do something productive, do yoga, take a bath, read a book, like distract my mind, do something else that was going to like make me feel happy or feel good, instead of just like browsing online for makeup. So I think that is also a valuable and invaluable insight, if you will, into why I sometimes felt the urge to shop, or I also would just like sometimes allow myself to browse, but not like going into it knowing that I wasn't going to buy anything. So it kind of gave me like the shopping experience, but I had like set myself up for not actually buying anything in the end. And then I'm gonna take the shade Sparks, which is just a sparkly white, and take a little bit of this in my brow bone. I don't know if it's gonna stick, but so those are kind of just examples of how, even though I wasn't 100% perfect in everything, realistically, like having some set of like guidelines or outlines for makeup purchases and kind of like keeping track of what I was buying and what I was spending and all that kind of stuff was still valuable, even though I wasn't like 100% consistent. So with all of that being said, I want to do not like the same thing this year, but still have some sense of like keeping track of what I'm buying and having some type of guideline. Otherwise, I know myself and I'm gonna just buy whatever the fuck I want. So I think instead of a budget, because I just think maybe I should try something else, like I did my 2021 year of the budget. Now maybe I'll do a different kind of low buy and see how that goes, right? Like, and who knows what 2023 will bring. So I think this year, based on everything that I've talked about so far and like what I've found was what helped me and what didn't, what I ended up like ignoring essentially. I think instead of a budget, I'm going to do like a purchase, like a number of purchases a month. So I think I'm going to allow myself 3 makeup purchases a month, and like have that be a relatively broad category of just like 3 makeup purchases a month. So if I buy 2 eyeshadow palettes, that's a purchase. And then if I go to a drugstore or a pharmacy and buy a lip gloss, that's a purchase. So because, and also a lot of like drugstore purchases that I used to impulsively make because it's more affordable than like high end. And I just grab it and kind of, I was gonna say walk out of the store with it. Obviously I pay for it, but you know, like grab it, put it in my cart, check out, and then I have it, you know what I mean? So certain things, like if they go on sale at the drugstore or whatever, like, I don't know, I would like to like buy like a Maybelline lifter gloss or something, which I was saving so, like all of my budget amount for like more major purchases, or like basically eyeshadow, that I didn't get to like buy any of that stuff, which I think is good. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad. I actually think that was very good of me and what I should have been doing, but I think maybe it will also allow me to kind of get a variety of things rather than just ending up spending all of my budget on eyeshadow, which was fine because I have enough of everything. But I feel this year like I want to kind of like spread my money and my makeup purchases to other categories of makeup as well as eyeshadow. So we're gonna see how that goes, and I feel like it's less strict in terms of dollar amount that I'm gonna be spending, but also like might make, I don't know, I'm just gonna see how it goes. And I think it's gonna be like less strict in terms of like, I don't know if I'm gonna actually do like low buy updates and stuff, just because, I don't know. If that's something that you'd still like to see, I can definitely do it. But I was thinking instead I could do like a monthly recap of stuff like I've tried for the first time this month, and that would also allow me to kind of like go over things. Like if I tried a new concealer, I wasn't necessarily talking about that in a way that I like really want to, and like talk about new makeup that I'm trying, even if it's not necessarily part of like a stricter thing. I don't know, maybe that doesn't make sense, but it's just kind of what I've been thinking about. But I'm gonna try realistically not to buy any more eyeshadow for the next like few months, at least the next 3. That's not like a super strict rule, but I just have enough right now. I've bought a lot over the past couple months, and I think that's good for me for now, you know? Like, I don't need any more. So unless something like crazy releases, I don't know what I mean by that, by a crazy thing that releases, but I'm gonna like really try to not buy eyeshadow. And another thing that I've kind of realized as well is that I feel fine with having a big collection. I know some people really like to keep their collection quite small and capsulated and have like only a certain number of certain items, like 20 eyeshadow palettes or 50 eyeshadow palettes or something like that. Oops. And I've kind of, I mean, I've always known, but I just like have kind of come to the realization that like I'm fine with having a big collection. It's kind of, it's what brings me joy, not necessarily in having a big collection, but my makeup brings me joy, and it doesn't necessarily bring me joy to like go on a massive declutter or have like a smaller collection, so long as I'm always using my shit basically. And I think I actually do a pretty good job of that, especially in my day-to-day. Like I'm good at like rotating through my stuff. Okay, so I had to change the battery, so I just finished up my lower lash line. I pretty much just put all the same shades that I put in my crease on my lower lash line. I put a little bit of the shade Kava on the inner part of my lower lash line, this shade here, and then I put Sparks on my inner corners, and then I just put a little bit of black in my outer corner to deepen the look a little bit. Now I'm just gonna kind of breeze through the rest of this because I've been talking for enough time. But basically, to conclude, I'm just using this Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer to bronze now. To conclude, basically, I don't feel any type of way. If anything, I feel like positive about having a big collection. It's really what has brought me a lot of joy, just using my makeup in general, especially the past 2 years. So it's not like that I'm trying to lessen what I have or not bring a lot of new things in. It's just, I think it's important for me to keep track of what I'm spending. But I will say that it's been hard when the world feels like it's gonna end tomorrow. You know, spending however many X amount of dollars on an eyeshadow palette doesn't seem like it's gonna be such a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But let me just get my nihilistic point of view out of here. I just set my face using the e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. For highlight, I'm going to use the Natasha Denona Super Glow in the shade Fair. Let's keep it Natasha Denona today. And then for blush, why not? Let's keep it in the high-end family, I guess. I'm going to take the Pat McGrath blush in the shade Desert Orchid, which was one of my main impulse purchases in July, but it's become like one of my all-time favorite blushes ever. I'm just going to take some brow gel. This is just the Essence Make Me Brow, and run it through my brows. And then I've actually run out of Freck right now. It's on my way to me, but a replacement is, but right now I don't have it, so I'm going to take a shade from this palette here. Let's take, I'm going to take the shade Teak, which is this shade right here. And I'm going to use that just with a little, like, tiny little liner brush. And I'm just going to put some freckles on with this. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to finish up my eyes and put something on my lips, and then I will be back to conclude this video. Alright, and this is my finished look for the day. I was gonna say, I don't know why I felt like I wanted to say that. I have 8 minutes before I start work, and I have my daily meeting, so we're breezing through this outro. On my lips, I have the NYX lip liner in Espresso with a little bit of the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in Sandstorm blended out, and then I have the Rimmel Stay Matte Liquid Lip Color in the shade Raw Embrace on the center. And I'm really into this lip. And I just have random lashes from Amazon on. In my waterline, I put it's just a bronze liner from ColourPop. It is in the shade Overboard. A pretty, like, neutral glam, if you will, for myself today. Like I said, nothing too crazy, but this palette was really nice to use. I don't want to say too much on it though, because number one, you can't get it anymore, so my thoughts and feelings on it are a little bit irrelevant, and also I've only used it once, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But okay, focusing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it all the way to the end, I've been posting videos that frankly I have no business posting how long they are, like full feature length films. Oh my god, but hopefully they're enjoyable or a little bit mildly entertaining. Let me know if any of you are going on a low buy or a no buy for 2022. I feel like it's kind of this season of thinking about low buys, thinking about no buys. What are your rules? Or maybe you just got off a no buy or a low buy and now you're free as a bird. I would love to know And hopefully, I don't know, we can either go through this journey together, you can see me succeed, you can see me fail. Hopefully 2022 will be a great success, but like I mentioned in the video, I'm kind of taking it as a journey and, you know, not seeing it so much on the binary of I succeeded, I failed. It's all about learning, right? Learning about yourself, learning about your habits. That's the point of life, isn't it? Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to see you guys in my next video. Bye!